Talk Bernie to me. Talk Bernie to me. Hello, welcome to Talk Bernie to Me, a podcast brought to you by Babes for Bernie. I am Katie Halper.
Kathleen Graves.
And we have a great show coming up for you guys. We're going to be
heavy. It's a heavy show.
It's a heavy show.
Brace yourselves.
Brace yourselves. Basically, we're uncovering the hijacking of democracy. And it really isn't over.
It's not over.
And we're not some like totally rabid Berniacs who don't look at the math or deny what's facts on the ground.
We're looking at
what's happened, and there was total disenfranchisement. And there's disenfranchisement that could have affected the outcome of the New York election.
Absolutely.
And this is being used to dampen the enthusiasm and the idea that it's a winnable thing. I mean, even if you don't like Bernie Sanders, if you care about democracy, you're going to want to fight against disenfranchisement.
Yep.
So, enjoy.
Sit back.
Oh, and by the way, Johnathan Clarke is running for Congress. He's the lawyer who filed the lawsuit, and he's running for Congress.
We have him on.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Johnathan?
Yes, this is he.
We wanted to talk to you because you, Johnathan Clarke, are the lawyer who filed the lawsuit against the Board of Elections and are representing all the voters who have been purged.
Yes, this is true.
And so we wanted to just talk to you about what's happening because really, a
lot of people don't know.
A lot of people don't know. I spoke to you on my radio show the other day, and I have to admit, I was in denial or shock. I had some kind of delayed reaction. I didn't understand the extent to which there was just overt fraud, and I think that one of the big issues is that the issue of primaries, open versus closed primaries, has kind of been a distraction and a way for people to make it seem like, we're just fighting over that. That's a separate issue. I mean, it's related. But can you just talk to us about what actually happened?
Yeah, so this is, like you said, those are two different issues. The open versus the closed primary is a legislative issue, and it can't be handled by a court. No judge can overrule or change that law.
Right, because that's who determines that, by the way, whether it's open or closed?
That would have to be done through the state assembly, or the political parties would decide if they want their primaries open or closed.
Okay.
And so this is not the forum for that. I
Right.
mean, it draws attention to the fact that we have a closed primary system, but this lawsuit and what happened this week has absolutely really nothing to do with whether it's open or closed. So where we stand right now is that there's a lot of political grandstanding on the part of the Attorney General and Scott Stringer, the controller. People are trying to jump on the bandwagon and take credit for what happened. But what our lawsuit was trying to do was to make sure, at first, this was the day before the election even happened, we wanted what's called a declaratory judgment, which would give the people that were knocked off the voter roll the right to vote. And that was for the very select few plaintiffs we had. We just wanted a federal judge to say that. Those people didn't have to wait in line for hours to go see a judge. They could just know the day before. That was denied. The judge allowed further hearings on the matter, which would be to determine why the voter roll was purged and the possibility of having the ballots that had to be cast in an affidavit form analyzed in front of a court. Now, as it stands now, the Board of Elections can take your affidavit ballot. They count it through their administrative proceeding, but there's no real mechanism to verify whether those affidavit ballots will be counted since the voter roll has been purged. So we were asking the court to make some sort of exception where those ballots could be verified.
And how did you know to do this in the first place?
I'm running for Congress out on Long Island in the 3rd Congressional District, and a lot of people were coming up to me and they were saying that my voter registration has been changed. I don't really understand why. I've been a Democrat for 20 years. And now all of a sudden it changed. So we started to get concerned about what was going on with that since Arizona was such a horrible mess. And my partner in my law firm, who's a member of a group that was looking into the voter fraud out in Arizona, said, this looks a lot like Arizona. We should see if we can get in front of this instead of having to react to it as it happens.
Right.
So that was the instigation for this lawsuit.
And what has happened so far?
What has happened so far is the judge denied the order, but the lawsuit created a lot of political pressure for the Attorney General to step in And since that point, the Board of Elections in Brooklyn is looking for scapegoats to take the blame on this one. So they're making some sort of symbolic gesture by axing a woman who had really nothing to do with the voter rolls. It seems to be a pretty blatant attempt to protect the Democratic Party within Brooklyn.
And by the Democratic Party, you mean?
The establishment. Frank Cedillo, the borough president, he installed this woman, Kinesio, who is the one that's actually in charge of the Democratic voter rolls.
Right.
And those are the ones that got purged. But for some reason, this woman, I think is a recluse or something like that, who's considered the chief clerk, was in charge of the Republican rolls, and they're putting the blame on her. It's very unclear at this point because right now it's not at all transparent.
Right. Can you just tell us, maybe like in a sentence or something, what people can do?
They can go protest their local boards of election. I think that they should show up and show that there's a mass of people that aren't going to stand for this. I think another thing people should do is to contact the New York State Attorney General and ask him why he's opposing this lawsuit.
Whoa, Eric Schneiderman is opposing this lawsuit?
Yes, I sued also the New York State Board of Elections, and the Attorney General sent someone to court to oppose the lawsuit, and at some point I turned to him and said, we're supposed to be on the same side here because you're supposed to protect voters' rights, but yet they're actually giving me a difficult time in transferring this case to Brooklyn. They don't want to sign a stipulation to dismiss the case in Long Island without prejudice so that I can move it to Brooklyn or New York where it would be more properly venued. They're fighting me on that issue, despite the fact that they say that they're trying to get transparency into this.
And
so I as an attorney, I can call them, but they're not going to really relate to me. But if lots of individuals want to know why they're still opposing this lawsuit on one side, but then on the other side, for political gain, they're saying they're going to investigate the boards of election.
Wait, so did you understand? I'm a little confused. So what do you mean on one side and the other side?
Okay,
you're saying so publicly they're saying, we want to get to the bottom of this,
right.
blah, blah, but then when he's actually going through the channels to
got it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Right. So, this lawsuit is sort of the citizens' way of getting entree into the courtroom and having it brought into the light of day. That's my hope, is because I want an open, transparent system where everyone can see it. Now, to do that, I had to sue the New York State Board of Elections. So Eric Schneiderman sent his representative down to defend the case in federal court. Now, Eric Schneiderman turns around. I'm sorry?
No, sorry. Keep going. Sorry.
So Eric Schneiderman now turns around and says he's going to investigate the boards of elections. So basically he's saying he's going to do the same thing that I'm going to do, except it's going to be a governmental agency investigating a governmental agency. If they really wanted transparency in the system, they would not try to fight me on this, but rather try to work with me. That's what my point was in court when I was talking to the AG, is trying to say, this shouldn't be an adversarial system. Your job as the Attorney General of New York is to get to the bottom of voter suppression. You should be working with me, not against me.
And what's their excuse for not working with you?
Well, that sort of points out another problem that we have in New York. The Attorney General does both sides of issues. They defend the laws of New York State, but they also protect voters. So if a law victimizes you, it's their job to protect the law that you're challenging at the same time as the law is victimizing you. It's a very confused situation, and to me, it's a conflict of interest. In New York State should have an inspector general that deals with these things more than just an attorney general that seems to wear all hats all the time. But in any case, there should be an ethical obligation on the part of the attorney general to try to do justice in this case and not simply oppose this lawsuit because for his political gain it looks better for him to be the sole actor on this.
Oh, so that's why you think he's doing it. Is there anything Clinton related to it? Clinton versus Bernie related? Clinton versus Sanders related to it, or?
New York is so disgusting on its own right, and politicians and the New York State Attorney General is a politician. They want to do what can bring them the most publicity, and this seems to be resonating with a lot of people. So I think he sees an opportunity for that. Same thing with Scott Stringer, and it just doesn't really make sense why his office is going to investigate the votes. He's basically an accountant. So,
comptroller, right? City comptroller?
Yeah.
And they're
City
for
comptroller.
Clinton.
Yeah, they've
Correct.
all endorsed
Yeah.
Clinton, right? So de Blasio, Cuomo, Scott Stringer, and Schneiderman have all endorsed Clinton, correct?
Right. So, these are governmental agencies investigating a governmental agency. I don't really see if there's going to be much transparency. This lawsuit is
objectivity.
brought by citizens, and they have to be accountable to citizens. And
so, is there a petition that people can sign? I mean, is there something already
like
going
a change.org?
There are a lot of petitions going around, and it's sort of spun out of control. I don't know which ones are the best ones to sign on to. I mean, I can only know from my narrow perspective from the courtroom what to do, but as far as that goes, I don't know.
But how much I've seen some articles about this, and it's interesting because there's a Daily News New York Post schism, right? And for once, in this weird way, the Daily News is worse than the New York Post. That's because they're in the tank for Hillary, and the Post is probably in the tank for the Republicans, which means that they're coming out pro-Bernie or anti-Hillary, right? That's a really better way of saying it. They're anti-Hillary. But I've seen some coverage of this, but not that much. I mean, this is a scandal.
This is a
huge scandal. Yeah. And not only is it a scandal, but it could affect not just the numbers in the election, but it has a ripple effect, right? Because now people think it's over because of New York.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so much pressure was on winning New York, and there's things that just don't make sense. I forgot the numbers. I think it's the 12th congressional district, the one that covers Williamsburg, Greenpoint, every place that was a stronghold for Bernie. He lost by a big margin, and
there's no way.
Does not make sense.
This is I mean, again, I'm not the litmus test of something, but I'm pretty pro Bernie, and I read the news, and I still didn't understand yesterday when I spoke to you, Johnathan. No, not yesterday, Wednesday. It's like if someone who's kind of into this stuff doesn't get it, how is anyone going to?
But also, even taking Bernie out of it,
of course,
the facts stand. This is insane.
Right, it is, right. And it's very suspicious to me that people are at all opposing it. I said on Twitter, I'm like, even if you don't care about disenfranchisement, you really should pretend to.
Well, I mean, that's what's shocking to me, and I tried to just be cordial with the Attorney General on this and say, can we try to do justice? But
sorry.
And I really just want to move this case into Brooklyn or New York, where the majority of the purges happen, and they're fighting me tooth and nail. They want to stay out in Suffolk County because I think they have a better venue since it's more conservative there.
And why did you file it from there?
I filed it there because I live on Long Island. That's where my office was, and nobody really knew what was going to happen with Brooklyn. That sort of broke when WNYC had that released their study finding all of those people that have been purged. So the day that I found out about it, I decided I should go file in Brooklyn. But at the time that I was going to file it, it was 4:30, and you're not going to get that in front of a judge to get emergency relief. This was on a Monday. And I wanted to bring it to Brooklyn, but I said, there's no way I can do this. The most important thing is I get what's called declaratory relief for my clients. So I brought it to the nearest federal courthouse I could, which is near me, which unfortunately now it's kind of stuck there. And I figured the Attorney General would be conducive to moving it, but they're fighting me on that one.
Okay, Eric Schneiderman, Attorney General, we're calling on you to explain why you're not letting it be moved to this part of the city where there was the biggest, the largest documented disenfranchisement. It's just, I don't understand. It's so, I feel like this whole thing has totally, I mean, I was raised pretty radical, but I feel like this is a new level. Like, Kathleen, you weren't political before at all, right? I was political, but now I'm just like at a different level. It's just crazy. I thought this stuff happened in Florida. I didn't think it happened in New York.
And you know, the crazy thing is, since I brought this lawsuit, there's people that are challenging me on my credibility on it too. Within that are Bernie supporters. It's just amazing. Everyone turns on each other. It's just kind of bizarre.
Who do we need to call out? You don't have to name them, but if you want to.
No. It's quite fine. Arthur Schwartz, who was Bernie Sanders' attorney for a very small thing that he needed with petitions. I asked him before I even filed this lawsuit, because I'm not an election attorney. I'm a general practice attorney, and I went to him because he was Bernie's attorney, and I said, can you help me file this? And he ignored me, and then I said, you know what, I'll just stay up all night, get everything I need to do it myself. And then I did it, and I filed it, and I called him again and said, can you sign on to this, help me out? And he said, no, there's no chance that we're going to reverse any delegates. Then he saw that it started to get some publicity, and he started attacking me, saying that I shouldn't have filed it, I don't have the election law experience, and that now it should be turned over to him and another attorney who can handle it.
Well,
So
didn't he miss the boat when you asked him?
But are they offering to
work with you, or?
Well, that was the whole point, to work with me, but he kind of wants me to stop doing it.
Oh, like,
and
we'll
he's
take it
going
from
to take
you.
it over. But his intentions are kind of dubious, because I think he's running for assembly in New York. So he saw that this was a way to get some publicity now that the hard work was done.
What's his name? Arthur what?
Arthur Schwartz.
Arthur Schwartz. Listen to me. It's a fellow New York Jew calling you out. But that aside, identity politics aside, why don't you just work on this with?
It's not me, it's us, right?
Yeah, it's not me, it's us. If you're a Bernie bro, you, just like we babes for Bernie, we believe in that ethos. It's not me, it's us.
Right.
But this, and how could this affect? So what? Okay, two questions. What would your lawsuit do if they found in your favor? Is that the legal way to say it? If they found if they ruled in your favor, and how could this affect the election?
Well, three things. First, why I don't want to work with him is because he has no intention of getting the vote counted, and that was the point of this lawsuit.
Yeah.
He wants he has a vendetta against the Board of Elections, which I understand, and he wants to bring that up. So to me, the most important thing right now is getting the votes counted here. In New York, and what happens now, it's sort of an administrative process in counting the votes, and it's very unclear as to whether the people who were purged and who voted through affidavit are going to be counted through this administrative process. Now, in this administrative process, they can have representation from Bernie campaign and from Hillary, whoever wants to go, and oversee it, but they oversee it by using the purged voter rolls. So at this point, the only way that we're going to get an accurate count is to have a court say so. And I'm trying to get the court to order them to open up all the history of all the purge voter rolls so that they can use that as the mechanism for comparing instead of the actual current list, which is inaccurate.
And then what about counting the affidavit ballots?
That would be counting the affidavit ballots. Either way, right now the affidavit ballots are going to be counted through the administrative process, but a lot of them are going to be rejected because they don't. Nobody's on the rolls since they've been purged. My lawsuit is trying to say that we're not going to look at the rolls, but we're going to look at the history of the purges, who got purged, and have a sort of a deeper analysis instead of just a simple, okay, they're not on the list.
Right.
But shouldn't they have? What is the legal justification for declaring the election the winner before affidavits have been counted?
Yeah, that's another question. In general, I mean, there's so many votes casted through regular ballot that the affidavits, provisionals, and other kind of ballots they don't really sway an election. So this is sort of unique, where 100,000 people were forced. I mean, potentially a lot of people were forced to vote in this manner that they never had to before.
Right, and we don't know how many voted through affidavit, right? But obviously, there's potential for a huge number.
No, they have to do what's called a canvassing, and then you'll know the exact numbers about that. But like I said, they can do the canvass and they can do the count, but they're comparing the count to a purge voter roll, which doesn't really bring these people any justice.
So they're already not on the list. So there in theory will be some people who would be someone who would sign the affidavit who wouldn't have been purged, someone who had been switched party-wise?
Right. They'll be on there someplace, or, the truth is this is done by people that they don't really want to put much effort into it. They just want to get the number counted. So I think getting it done fast is more important than getting it done right with a lot of people right now. And that can't be the case, especially here, since the Board of Elections obviously made the mistake, and I think we should go for the right result, not the fast result.
Right.
But that doesn't even seem, not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but that doesn't even, I mean, if it looks like it was intentionally done in Bernie supportive, pro-Bernie, especially pro-Bernie areas, is it even about that? It seems like it really was intentional. Or are you saying on some lower level where it wasn't intentional is where the speed versus, caution thing is coming out?
Well, I mean, there's so many things going on. It's just, it's hard to say intentional. Who knows what really happened? I mean, obviously, with all these fake firings and everything going on right now, you can tell that there's a cover-up. And, it's a cover-up that gets you, not the actual act. And so I think that's what we're seeing right now. But when I say the speed, I mean that there's a whole set of procedures in the election law for counting these ballots, and it's done by bipartisan measures. It goes on and on and on. I mean, it's just Byzantine and tedious. And so when they're counting the ballots, they're going to have to go through this for hours and hours and hours. So I think people aren't going to want to take the extra step to go look at the purged voters to see if they come up somewhere else in the database. And I think they just want to certify the election as quick as possible.
So is it technically a certified election now, or is it some kind of limbo?
It's in limbo right now. That's a good way to put it. It's in limbo. We're waiting. They have to do what's called a canvass. They're going to look at all the...
How is this not...
So that's something no one knows. Nobody knows that. So, like, this is different, for instance, like, what's a state that already voted? Florida. That's settled, right?
I haven't been following Florida's, and I can't really tell.
Okay,
election. I don't.
Are other states totally settled in terms of who won?
There's the ones that they voted with the caucuses.
Right.
Those still, I think they have to go through other rounds.
Sure, and there was the Nevada thing. But of the primaries, are the other primaries... In other words, are there other primaries in limbo?
I don't think so. I think Arizona, maybe they have a similar system to New York. And I think they might have challenged the actual certification. The other states, I really can't speak to all the states. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know which ones have been certified and which haven't. I'm sure
this
a lot
is really
of them have.
absolute insanity.
So in terms of what you're working on, is it, I mean, obviously it is time sensitive, but are there deadlines that are coming up immediately for you, or how does...
Right. The Attorney General has a deadline where they have to respond to my motion or to my complaint, and that's April 29th, so that's their deadline.
That's really soon, too.
I'm going to have to probably bring another emergency relief to try to stop the certification of the election if it seems like they're not doing anything to try to enfranchise the people that were thrown off the voter rolls.
So it sounds like you need help, too, right? Like some other lawyer should be working on this with you?
Well, here's the issue, and when I mentioned Arthur Schwartz, it's all right. So who does election law? The people who do election law are party hacks because you get your job through the party doing this. So everybody that comes into it has their own agenda and their own axe to grind. And that the hard part is finding an honest. It's hard to find an honest attorney. It's even harder to find an honest election attorney. I'll tell you that right now.
Also, the Black Youth Project, which is an activist member-based organization of Black 18 to 35-year-olds dedicated to creating justice and freedom for all Black people, they work through direct action, organizing, advocacy, and education. They have released a statement condemning what happened in the New York, they're calling it rampant systematic NYC voter disenfranchisement. The reason I bring this up, and this was released, what's today's date? It was on April 22nd, so it's today. Yeah. The reason I bring this up is because there's been this narrative that this is all white people, and this is so not a big deal, and white people are like co-opting the language.
Hipsters, Crimea River.
It's all Crimea River. So it's very important to note that the Black Youth Project is denouncing this, and we should put that all over Facebook and make memes about it because there's just so much dishonesty.
Wow. Well,
and they're saying we say we support the investigations by NYC Comptroller Scott Stringer and Attorney General Schneiderman, but we also know that these investigations will only tell us what we already know. We cannot trust the system to investigate itself, especially one that is already engaged in the intentional disenfranchisement of Black people, incarcerated people, undocumented residents, and so many others. That's kind of the Black people thing isn't legal. Anyway, but yeah. So it was decided, they're saying the New York primary was decided undemocratically without the voices of many potential voters. Yeah, this is absolutely, I mean, well,
that's my point is that this lawsuit allows for citizens to overlook the process instead of a city agency and a state agency as far as the comptroller and the attorney general goes. So this lawsuit would provide transparency for everyday people. And it's especially troubling since New York and we have had these laws in the past where it disenfranchised people who don't speak English. And even within this lawsuit, when I told the judge, you can vote by a court order. If you were purged, you could go to a judge and they could order you issue an order allowing you to vote if they thought that you truly were a Democrat. And but that process takes 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, who has the full day to,
I'm sorry?
And what happened? Sorry.
So I told the judge, there's a lot of people within, especially the area, because at that point we knew that they were purged, in Brooklyn, in East New York, and areas where 4 to 5 hours is not time you can take off from your job. There's inadequate transportation. There's a whole host of things, and it would disproportionately affect the African American communities and Hispanic communities, and it fell on deaf ears.
And
so,
what did she say, the judge, when you brought that up?
Well, she said that she had experience where she saw people having to go 3 or 4 hours, and it didn't seem that onerous, and that's part of the process.
Great. This is what democracy looks like. This is crazy. So, well, anything else, Kathleen, that you want to... I mean, we have to post some of this stuff online, just quotes from anything that's like a legal document. Well, you should send it to us, and we can take screenshots. Because Kathleen is the founder of Babes for Bernie and has a huge Instagram following, 24,000 people or something. So if you have anything... I mean, I'm saying this this could be a historic moment, the idea that the time we came up with this. But if you have anything to send us, I'll give you my email after. But we should just
we need to get the word out.
Like this is crazy. I spoke to him. I spoke to Johnathan 2 days ago, and I posted it today. Like if I realized what was, again, I think it's denial or something. But I'm in on all these listservs, all these Bernie listservs, and everyone's like, "What do we do now? Now that it's basically now it's over." And New York was viewed as the litmus test, right? As the what's it called? The watershed, right?
Right. It was either here. If you made it here, then it can go on.
Yeah.
And turns out he potentially could have.
Yeah. Right. So there are two issues. One is democracy. Let's have it function. The other one is maybe this is relevant to potentially derailing a campaign. Yeah. Why aren't his people talking about this more? It's like with Gore.
Well, that's what I was saying. That there's the insiders within Bernie's campaign that probably, they've lost faith themselves, or they were in it for their own agenda. That
Jeff Weaver,
or they don't want to come
Ned
out
Devine,
looking like
Ted Devine. I forget if it's Ned or Ted, because there's Ted. There's also Waking Ned Devine. Yeah. Guys, get on it.
Another adorable old man.
Yeah, the movie version is. Yeah, not the.
Oh,
you like Devine?
Waking Ned Devine?
Oh, that guy is. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, not Bernie's. So,
no, I mean,
he's fine.
It's irrelevant.
We could take him or leave him. He's not adorable though. Well, yeah. Well, we'll send us quotes from the judge. I mean, anything. We have to get this out. We have the weekend. We're not going to sleep. No sleep till Bernie.
Yeah, I'd have to order a transcript from the judge because I wouldn't want to misquote her. So.
Yeah, please. Can you get one ASAP?
Yeah, I'll try. I'll see if I can get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're going to try to get people to record their experiences with this.
Yeah.
But, well, thank you so much, Johnathan. And
thank you.
are Clarke. What is it? Go Clarke 2016.
Vote Clarke 2016 for the Twitter, right?
Peter, is there something that wants to be asked?
Oh, yeah. Actually, we do have a question that wanted to.
It's like a live town hall.
Yeah, we met at the protest on Wednesday at Board of Elections in Brooklyn.
Yes.
My name's Yvonne. We formed the group NY Primary Problems, and we did a protest this morning at City Hall. And the question that we have is two quick questions. One, do you know about the protest at the Board of Elections Commissioners hearing on Tuesday? There's a meeting. Hearing at the Board of Elections in Manhattan on Tuesday at 1, but we have a protest happening at noon, and I just wanted to know if you knew about that, if you were going to be involved in that hearing. And then the other quick question was, do we have any idea how many people were purged across the state? We know that Brooklyn was 126,000, but do you have a rough estimate of how many voters were purged across the state?
Well, see, that's the other problem is because WNYC did a great job of reporting on this. We had accurate numbers, and we could see that. But throughout New York State, it's very, very hard to tell. I mean, I have anecdotal evidence from out here in Suffolk County that people were just being turned away left and right. At other primaries, people would vote maybe 1 or 2 affidavit ballots, but within a certain electoral district. But now there's up to 47. So if any of you guys watch The Young Turks, there's an interview with a poll worker out here that said this was just insane and she's never seen anything like it, and it's not a very population-dense area. So I have no idea at this point, and to me this seems like it was all over the state, not just in Brooklyn. As far as the protest that's going on, I was not aware of it. See, that's sort of the problem, is I have my head buried in this lawsuit, and I'm trying to figure this out, so I'm kind of at a loss as to what's going on as far as protests go. And I wish there was some sort of centralized area where everybody can know what's going on.
But do you know about the hearing at the Board of Elections?
Excuse me?
Do you know about the hearing at the Board of Elections that's open with Michael Ryan, the executive director?
No, that I did not know about as well either. I did not, and I'm ashamed that I didn't.
You may not be able to go to Philadelphia. We may need you here.
Yeah,
You have to spread this all out to calls to action.
I have to keep that one in mind. I'll see. Maybe I can attend to that. I don't know. That's the other thing. Like I said, to what extent are these things agency procedures that public interaction is prohibited, and that's the other thing that's concerning me about this.
So this is, what's it called? The fox being guarding the fox?
Oh, fox guarding the hen house.
Yeah, sorry. No, but it is. No, it actually is fox guarding the fox.
It's not a joke. This is not
funny.
No. I mean, no.
Trust, you're fine. I think I'm a little bit more.
I was quoting Hillary when she was like, "Bernie, it's not funny, the gun violence thing."
Oh my God!
And then literally a day later, Bill Clinton made the joke about
shooting. Have you made a meme of this? You need to meme this, Kathleen. This is your art. We have to. Okay. Wait, what were we just saying? No, it's the hens. It's the foxes guarding the foxes because they're guarding themselves.
Right.
I mean, it's foxes investigating the foxes. That's what it is. And eating
whatever it is,
hens,
it's a bloodbath that's happening.
It's some BS.
For democracy. This is a bloodbath of democracy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Johnathan. We'll be in touch, and we should do some Facebook Live stuff. Honestly, I don't know if you're going to be able to go to Philadelphia, Kathleen.
Yeah, I was headed on a bus to Canvas because it's not over.
Yeah, but we need to spread. Actually, maybe you do need to go to Philadelphia. Spread the gospel.
All right. Anyway.
Thank you so much, Johnathan.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah,
I'm sorry if I've spoken too much legalese. I was trying to.
No. It's great.
We broke it down, so it's all good.
Yeah. All right, we'll be in touch soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right, bye. That was Johnathan Clarke, the lawyer who literally filed a lawsuit against New York over the purges. And
talk about DIY. Bernie's whole thing is DIY.
Do it yourself, guys. Seriously. But now we have to come together. Do it ourselves. Dio, like God, Dios, right? Man. This is insanity.
No, this is not.
It's not over.
No.
But they want us, I mean, okay.
But they've been saying it's been over since before he even.
Yeah, but I feel like this was a new level. And this is even pro-Bernie people are accepting as over. We got to do a viral image. We got to do it. What do we do? Forget the Bill Clinton. We don't need to discredit them now.
We're on to the next.
We have to be on the offensive. What are we doing? How do we tell people that it was
proactive?
We just need the numbers out there. We need some. Who's good at infographics? Contact us.
Yeah, baseforbernie@gmail.com.
Yeah, or tag her on Instagram. Anyway, I'm Katie Halper.
Kathleen Graves.
This has been another episode of Talk Bernie to Me. This is
Tangled Web.
It's a tangle. This is going to be. I mean, this has to
blow the lid off this.
Yeah.
Popsicle. It's not right.
A popsicle of hate. Right. See you next time.
Anyway, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, awesome. Talk Bernie to me. Talk Bernie to me.